And here we are live again with a Between the Pages book chat. And today we have sci-fi and fantasy author Deston Munden with us to discuss his series Dusk Orbit Blues.
Mhm.
And I'll let him introduce himself. Take it away.
Hello, I am Deston J. Munden. I'm the author of the Dargrass Chronicles and the Dust Over Blues trilogy. And I'm here to answer some questions and y'all get to know me a little bit better.
Okay, so why don't you start out by giving everybody an overview of your series?
All right. Dust Orbit Blues is a trilogy. The first of three named Dust Mountain Blues.
Yes, and a lovely
And
cover, by the way.
thank you. It's a space opera western involving a family named the Caldwells and their fight against colonizers of their planet. They are kind of like bootlegger moonshiners and like smugglers, and it follows how it's basically like a person's fight against like civilization and like urbanization and like kind of like the Wild West, like where like the east of the United States was trying to take over the West, and like some people were trying to bunk against that. So that's basically the whole premise, and it's been compared to as X-Men meets Red Dead Redemption.
Yeah, it's sort of like a culture clash.
Yeah, so there's a big, huge thing about how civilization not always a good thing.
Okay, so what were your inspirations for the series?
Old Western films and video games actually both came to like huge into the series. Um, the the Western mostly came from Red Dead Redemption. When I played that game, I just kind of got inspired to write my own Western. I didn't want it to just be a Western because that's just not my style of thing. So I decided to throw a little bit of space opera in there since that's like one of my favorite genres. So I basically blended two of my favorite things into my new series, a new trilogy.
So why don't you tell us a little about the setting and the colonies and the planet and whatever it is
Okay.
that you created?
The setting is kind of like it's very like uncivilized. You start off on one planet in Kadar, and that's where the Caldwell's been living since they put their roots down. And the patriarch Drifter, uh, him and his brothers basically escaped the prison planet to colonize this planet and get away from all the civilizations that will want to like use them for their own gains because their mutant abilities and genetics. And they basically like made a family there, and now they're very plentiful. There's a bunch of like mutant Caldwells on the planet, but now the civilization, the empire, is looking to reclaim some of the genetic makeups that like the Caldwell have, because they kind of slipped out the back door when the first civilization fell. So that's the main setting of this book. Later on, I leave the planet of Kadar to go jump from planet to planet. But for now, I wanted to have like this one rooted planet where the Caldwells have been living since uh, they put their roots down.
Okay, so why don't you describe us the main character of the book?
There are three main characters across three generations. I mentioned Drifter before. His real name is Luke. Um, he's kind of like the old gruff grandpa that like looks after the family and kind of like the mastermind of the group. He might not be the smartest character, but he's the wisest character. of the group. Then it follows his son, which is the second generation of Caldwells. Um, his nickname is Appetite, but his real name is Woodrow or Woody, and he's this giant, really big man, like weighs like 300 or 400 pounds, 300 or 400 pounds. He has to eat a lot to keep his like mutant ability in check. And he's the smart one. He's the one that's wise. He's the kind of book smart. He's very slow of speech, and he like thinks about like all his actions because he used to get teased and stuff because he's a big guy and he's kind of slow and like he's not slow in thinking, but he's slow in like speech because he has to conserve energy. Then the last one is the granddaughter, Kendall. Her real name is Cassie, and she's the like firecracker of the group. She makes like really bad decisions. she's kind of a mix between her grandfather and her pa. But she tends to make all the wrong decisions because she's young. She's kind of rebellious, and she likes adventure, and she has little patience for like anybody. So like she's probably my favorite one to write because she's not like I'm very much like Appetite. I'm very slow and I like to think my way through things. And Kendall is not like that. And she's tough. She's a tough one. She's the one that like gets in like a lot of the fights and she can hold her own.
Yeah. So, what would you say some of the best traits they have, and some of the worst traits the characters have?
For Luke, he's a bit stubborn. Like Drifter's a bit stubborn, but like his best trait is easily that he connects with his family. He really does care about them. Appetite's best trait is his smarts, but his worst trait is he has a love interest that he has a complicated past with that he can't quite let go. And it kind of affects how he lives his life. And he tends to get into these really bad thought spirals into a fact that he kind of descends into madness sometimes. And Kendall, she's quick on her feet, but that's both a flaw and a strength. She acts good. She acts quickly and good in some situations, which that's nice. But then she acts quickly in others, and it's not. So her strength is also her biggest weakness.
Yeah, they're the most fun characters. Okay, so do you have a main antagonist, or is it sort of like the Empire? It's sort of the.
I do have a main antagonist. You don't see the top of the civilization until like later books, but you do get to see the person that's heading this colonization effort for the planet, and his name is Major Steve Gimbenham, and he's fun to write. He's kind of this short, powerful looking man, very good. He got a humor, kind of a wit, got like an Alabama type Southern accent, about to like. In like contrast to the Caldwell's kind of North Carolinian like Southern accent. He's very like polite, but you can tell that like he's also a little unhinged. So he's really fun to write. And then he has his lieutenant, which is Zan, who's what I call a bio android. He's like a artificially made human that like kind of serves as his right hand man.
Oh, that's interesting. So, are there other non-humanish characters in the book, or are you just sticking to like androids and engineered humans?
There are you don't see a lot of them in the first book because Kadar is a backwater planet that doesn't have a lot of like civilization, but like once you get to like actually exploring the empire and the civilization and the other planets, you get to see there's like hundreds of different races in this world. I don't get into all of them, but you get to see a few cool like sci-fi races, which I can't help myself because I'm also a fantasy writer, so I had to put some non-human races in my fantasy.
Yeah. Okay, so what was the hardest scene for you to write?
The hardest scene for me to write is probably the ending, mainly because something happens with Appetite that kind of that shifts his whole kind of personality going forward. And he's a very emotional guy. And like anytime that I have to like get deep into what he's thinking, it kind of hurts because he's very much emotional. That he doesn't try, he tries to hide it, but like it kind of breaks loose at the end of the book. And that was really hard for me to write.
Okay, so what was your favorite scene to write?
Ooh, is chapter 14. That whole chapter is just a surprise. My editor even was floored reading that like chapter. That's her favorite chapter in the entire book. It's a fun twist. You think everything's going one way, and I just throw you for a complete loop in that chapter. So that had to be my favorite one to write.
Yeah. Okay, so do you have any quirky characters or secondary characters that are scene stealers?
Oh yes. I have quite a few. My favorite has to be Appetite's younger brother, Loner. He's this kind of like mutated human that has like a respiratory mask, and he's very skinny, and he has a long prehensile tail. He's very weird looking, but like his personality is what like gets me because he's just so quirky and like and lovable. So like he's easily my favorite secondary character, along with Drifter's brother, Big Thunder, which is kind of like the big like gruff. I'm gonna go in there and fight.
Yeah, I love your nicknames, by the way. They're great.
Thank you.
Okay, so what character in the book would you most like to hang out with in real life?
Oh, probably Kendall. Because like I feel like we'll be friends. Because she has some of the personality of my personal best friend and editor. So I think we'll get along pretty well. Even though like I'll probably have to like reel her in. She'll probably fight for me though. Like I know she would. Like she will if something came up. I know she'll have my back. So.
Okay, so you also write fantasy. You want to talk a little bit about that series?
Oh, absolutely. I write a fantasy series called The Dark Gas Chronicle, the first to be in Cavern. It's kind of like this D&D type adventure where the main character is an orc, and he's a spy master that's that uncovers a plot to destroy a city. So he's working with like nobility and like people like and drug dealers and all that stuff to try to like figure out what's going on in the city and who's trying to destroy it. So that's the first of many of that series, because that series will be pretty big. My sci-fi series is more my like side project, but that's my main series.
Sounds interesting. So are there any genres that you haven't written in that you would like to?
I do want to do mythology. I really want to have a mythology fiction that I really want to get into.
Yeah, that's my area of expertise.
I really like, because I love Greek mythology and like Norse mythology. Those are my two favorites.
Yeah, I work mostly in Celtic, but I've done a little bit in both of those.
That's a good one. Like I like that's my third favorite actually. But like Norse is my absolute favorite. But Greek, I know Greek more, so I feel like I could write in that one first if I want to get into that genre.
Yeah, Greek was my first mythology foray. Not in writing, but in reading.
Yeah,
But the Celtic one came, because I'm Scottish, a little Irish background, so that came through my own family history. The Norse mythology just sort of, Thor comics.
yeah. Like Norse is very interesting, but I do think I want to start off with Greek and like especially with Hades and Persephone. That's the one I want to like.
Yeah, my Seafaring Fantasy trilogy is actually based on Greek mythology, loosely based on Greek mythology.
So that's and maybe I think maybe I'll try to do historical fiction at some point, but and I have a quest for people to like do a paranormal story, please. And I'm like, okay, I'll think on it. I just have to think about it.
Yeah, folklore is good if you want to do paranormal. So you can get sort of close to mythology with the folklore stuff and still do the paranormal.
Yeah, like folklore is like basically like kind of like it's kind of mythology, not really. So it's something that I'm looking into to try out.
Okay, so do you have any upcoming projects?
Yes. I'm currently in the middle of writing the second of the Dust Over Blues trilogy, which is Dust Ocean Blues. But I have Duke's Brand, the sequel of Terran completed and going to be on the editing soon. And that one is kind of near and dear to my heart because the main character has autism.
Oh.
He's an autistic main character in the fantasy world. And a lot of my friends are autistic, so I want to like make it so that like, yes, this is a hero. It is a hero with his own problems who's also autistic. So that I'm looking forward to releasing that one because I feel like that's a representation that a lot of people don't get to do, get to like experience.
Yeah, that sounds interesting. And I think it may be much needed these days too.
Anyway. I've seen so many people say that like they always see the autistic characters in fiction as like kind of like a secondary character or characters that's like, oh, they're quirky. No, like I want to make a character that's like he has his own problems and realizing that he has like this fantasy equivalent to autism and learning more about it and having people around him that teach him more about it.
Well, I'll have to check it out when it comes out.
Thank you.
So we're going to wrap it up here. So why don't you tell the viewers where they can find you and your books?
Oh, you can find me. You can find all my books on Amazon. They're available on Kindle Unlimited if you want to. If you have Kindle Unlimited or the paperback or ebook, and you can find me at Twitter at Sir Buffalo Knight, and Instagram at author DJ Munden, or you can find my page on Facebook at DJ Munden.
Okay. Okay, so thank you for being here. It was a pleasure chatting with you.
Thank you.
And that wraps it up for this Between the Pages book chat. And we'll be back after Easter with some more fantasy authors. So keep an eye out. And we'll see you. And bye for now.
Bye-bye.